Viewers, welcome back, and the content continues. I'm Ron Grant, coming to you live and direct from Rotown, Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. Over the past few weeks, many BVI teachers have taken to social media and local radio programming expressing their frustration and dissatisfaction with the treatment of teachers and students, they say, along with serious faults within the education system. One teacher called a local radio program on Monday, May 27, 2020, where she expressed in detail the level of frustrations and the dire state of the CTL senior campus. In noting in her statement, and I quote, "does not reflect the views and opinions of all teachers," as she said she cannot represent all teachers. She said she is, however, speaking on behalf of many. Now, the teacher said in a live radio program, and I quote, "I want to express some serious concerns regarding education in the VI. Well, let me first say that I stand on behalf of many who don't want to speak out because of fear of victimization. Many of us worry about losing our jobs if we are seen to be critical of any government. The reality is that this has happened in the past. As a territory, we have been faced with many challenges recently, but we feel that while other areas have been addressed, it is shameful," she said, "that we have left our children to suffer under terrible conditions. Some of the many issues that our children and educators have to deal with are not widely known, and we believe that more awareness could remedy some of these problems." She said, "I teach at the CTL campus of ESHS. Everyone knows it now as CTL High. There are 582 students currently enrolled there, with one female and one male bathroom for the entire student body. There has not been a nurse on campus since 2017, and we have had to deal with emergencies from time to time, including seizures and respiratory illnesses that we are not trained to deal with. The air quality," she continued, "at CTL campus is a health hazard. Some of our students have been advised by their doctors not to enter the building, and many have suffered from respiratory problems as a result. These students were walking around with masks in the building long before it was mandated due to COVID-19. There are teachers with major health concerns that are forced to teach outside the building because of these conditions," she continued. The L-shaped building on Lower State campus was reopened with much fanfare, but almost 4 years after Irma, it still does not have adequate furniture to accommodate our children. Ironically, the large development on Joes Hill, visible from the Lower State campus, progresses at rapid pace. Some classrooms have picnic tables that make social distancing impossible, and many classrooms lack educational materials necessary for proper instructions. Our students taking local and regional exams under impossible conditions, while teachers have labored in cramped workspaces with poor internet connectivity and a general lack of resources. While many have received stipends, stimulus, and exit packages, many teachers wait patiently," she said, "for backlog increments years overdue. Teachers were asked to commute from the H. Lively Stout Community College campus to Lower State campus during the 2016-2017 year when the extra school year was accommodated for students. These teachers are still waiting for the transportation allowances that was promised. Currently, teachers are commuting from Lower State campus to CTL High with no compensations. Very few, if any, of our professions and other professions are asked to do this, yet we do it with little complaints. It was mentioned before that the starting salaries for legislators is $3,600. These figures do not include allowances, as I would assume. Many trained, experienced teachers would be thrilled with that kind of salary. We are not paid that kind of salary after years of experience and training. It is time that we rededicate ourselves to the education of our children. We need to build school buildings and foster pride among students and provide teachers with all resources they need to do in order to progress. Teachers care and students want to succeed. These issues have been a problem for years. This is not under the sitting administration, not just under the sitting administration. This is not a political ploy. We simply ask for change, not 15 minutes of fame, but impactful change. We deserve it, our students deserve it, and the community deserves it." Now, additionally, in another Facebook post, Mrs. Tiffany Bruley, a teacher, posted the following, and I quote, "I am beyond frustrated right now. I love to teach. I love to be in the classroom. Like most teachers, my time in the classroom is the best part of my job. I just sat in a meeting where we were informed of the infrastructural plans for the high school. To say that I am disappointed would be an understatement. The first thing we were told is that the consultant has been in the territory for a year and working on the project for 8 months. This was said, in my opinion, so that we would know that this government has been working on the school for some time now. As I sit and type, this is the part that upsets me the most. 8 months of work was represented in the sad, ill-prepared lack of thought for the future plan. It was obvious that this did not take 8 months to a year to develop. Why feed us garbage and tell us it's steak? We aren't stupid. We have just been silent because we care for our students more than we care for ourselves. However, that was our mistake, because in our silence, we had done more damage to our children than we could have imagined. Now, education officials, viewers, have been meeting with teachers, faculty, and staff in recent weeks to update on infrastructure progress within the Ministry of Education. In an invited comment, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, the territory's Deputy Premier and Minister for Education, said, and I quote, "There are certainly frustrating times for our students. These are certainly frustrating times for our students and teachers. The flood and hurricanes of 2017 and the COVID-19 pandemic have created unprecedented challenges for our students, parents, teachers, and administrators. I continue to celebrate our resilience in confronting these challenges while acknowledging the urgency in resolving our present difficulties." Last week, the Recovery and Development Agency held consultations with junior and senior staff, teachers of the Elmore Stout High School on the campus master plan and designs for the new junior school. The RDA engaged the pro bono services of a consultant from Construction for Change, who has been working on this project for over 8 months. The consultations continue this week with various stakeholders. Now, past Friday, which was midterm break, he said, we met with the teachers union to give updates on and response to concerns. I continue to encourage teachers to use the existing avenues to engage with ministry. The teachers union is also represented on the Education Advisory Board. I continue to believe that partnership and positive communicating will yield greater results than not engaging with the relevant stakeholders. Now, viewers, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley is in studio this afternoon to further speak on the matter and bring clarity and progress being made within his Ministry of Education. Stick with us. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. It's a conversation you really don't want to miss.
The win.
What in the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the...
What's poppin'? What's really big?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Viewers, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, Acting Premier at this present time, but also our Minister for Education and Culture. Welcome back, and thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and engage in dialogue on 284 Media. You're doing an excellent job. Keep up the good work.
Our absolute pleasure. Now, Minister, you've heard the cries and concerns, the frustrations that have gone territory-wide by teachers. What say you on the present situation?
Well, Ron, I have to say I empathize with the teachers and the students. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I have children who are school-aged. I have a child who goes to Elmore Stout High School, so anything that affects the children at Elmore Stout High School affects my child and affects me. I have a son who will be going to Elmore Stout High School in September.
Okay.
I understand the frustrations. And what I want us to do, Ron, is to make sure that, just let's take politics out of it. Let's take agendas out of it. We have very difficult times that we're dealing with as a territory, and we all have to come together to confront these challenges. It's not me against them. It's not a war between anybody. We have to get together to solve these challenges, which are difficult challenges to solve. As you know, on the hurricanes of 2017, which include it was preceded by a massive flood.
Yes.
We had Hurricanes Irma and Maria completely destroyed the Elmore Stout High School. Yes, there were some efforts to make some improvements to Elmore Stout high school before, but we had some steel frame buildings that got twisted and destroyed, and the existing buildings there were twisted and destroyed. And while I wasn't a part of the administration when the decision was made to go to the CTL building, I can completely understand that you had to make provisions for the young persons to be someplace. And that was decided on the Clarence Thomas building, which I believe was slated for a library. Now, certainly that building, a lot of work was put into that building to attempt to make sure that young people could be able to go in there and learn. But there are going to be some fundamental challenges that being in that building present. And we recognize those challenges that the teachers and the students are going through. I've been in the building myself, and there are quite a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and some which we have attempted to address. You mentioned that the teacher spoke about mold issues. We've had some mold remediation there. Certainly with what the teacher has said, I'm going to see if more mold remediation is needed. We've also dealt with the air quality. We've had a number of initiatives to address the air quality, and also initiatives to improve the classroom space. Let me say to you, Ron, that we have a plan for the redevelopment of the Elmer Stout High School that would allow us to eliminate the use of the CTL building, which is why we have some of the challenges that we have. And this is a project that was under the auspices of the Recovery and Development Agency. As you are well aware, on this Recovery and Development Agency was put in place so that we can have an agency to execute recovery projects. And it's something that was heavily supported by the United Kingdom. And we also have a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank. And the projects office in the Premier's office or in the Ministry of Finance helps to administer projects under the Caribbean Development Bank loan, which includes the furniture at the L-shaped building. What I want persons to understand, Ron, is that I'm frustrated as well, and the monster that we really have to confront as it pertains to our recovery and the advancement of our education system is a monster called bureaucracy. This monster called bureaucracy and red tape has impacted the previous administration, and it impacts this administration. We've taken some steps to cut through bureaucracy and red tape. For instance, with the L-shaped building, we were tired and sick of the bureaucracy as it pertained to that, and we put 3 contractors on the building so we could finish it in time to open school of September 2019. We were able to do that because we had enough local funding to be able to accomplish that, because we could not do that with Caribbean Development Bank funds. We did that with local funding. And it's the same thing, for instance, for furniture. I'll just give you another example. We went ahead and we awarded a contractor for furniture, a local retailer of furniture that we have here. And that proposal was rejected by the Caribbean Development Bank. And so we had to go through the process again. And based on the point system that the Caribbean Development Bank set up, the contract ended up being awarded to a manufacturer in Trinidad who could produce the goods, the furniture, cheaper than our retailer could. Of course, a manufacturer will be able to produce at a cheaper cost than a retailer. And then this manufacturer is in Trinidad, and we have the COVID-19 pandemic, and right now Trinidad is under lockdown. So you can imagine how COVID-19 has impacted the ability of this manufacturer to be able to deliver furniture. But those are just some examples, Ron. We've had some hurricanes here, but our systems have not acknowledged the urgency of the situation. And I have to make reference as well to a commission of inquiry that we're under. And we also have Auditor General, and we have financial management laws and regulations, and we have protocols for effective financial management. Many persons in the public may not be aware of all of the processes that you have to go through to be able to deliver a project, all of the obstacles which are within your path to be able to deliver a project. In the past, our legislators and our ministers were able to use the local funding we had and just executed projects outside of some of the protocols and management guidelines that we have now. Now, I don't want persons to get the wrong impression, Ron. I support effective financial management. I support having protocols in place to ensure value for money, transparency, accountability. All of those things I support. But we must have a system which also recognizes that delivering for the people, especially our children, especially our students who are suffering in less than ideal circumstances, must be paramount. That their needs are paramount and of the utmost importance. So we have to fight against the bureaucracy that results in things taking too long. I took note of that you mentioned the teacher, Tiffany Brewley, who sat down in a meeting and bemoaned the fact that she was being told that this design was taking more than 8 months. I have to say to you, Ron, that I had a conversation with Mrs. Tiffany Brewley. I spoke with her when I spoke at the teachers' union meeting on Friday, which was midterm break. And we had a good exchange. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity to engage. I certainly would have preferred for us to have a conversation before she took her frustrations to Facebook, because I was the person that she was writing about in the Facebook story, right, who said that the design had taken 8 months. And this is something that the consultant told me. I was at the meeting and I asked the consultant, how long have you been working on this project? And he said, 8 months. And I just repeated what the consultant told me. And this is a fine gentleman, reputable individual, works for a company called Construction for Change, offering pro bono services to the government of the BVI and working specifically under the Recovery and Development Agency. I don't want to get him involved in politics, because sometimes politics gets involved in these things, but certainly it may be interesting to have the consultant on your program, because of course journalism should be about sharing information and teaching the public and providing knowledge and insight. What exactly over the 8 months took so long in terms of the design phase? I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, so I certainly don't know why something like that would take that amount of time. But what I can tell you is I have been pressing on the Recovery and Development Agency. I've been pressing on individuals in my ministry. I've been pressing on the Ministry of Finance, the projects office. I've been pressing on my own colleagues if they have any responsibility in any of it. I've been pressing on whoever I can press on to try to see if we can get these projects advanced. And certainly we've been making some progress, but I want to see quicker progress. Ron, we have a concept, and this is not a new concept. We have a concept that we have been discussing for years and years and years, even before I became the Minister of Education, of having a junior high school in the west and a junior high school in the east. And we also have a junior high school in the central part at the Elmo Stout High School campus. We will soon have our first junior high school in the BVI with the reconstruction of the Isabella Morris Primary School. It's not going to be reconstructed as a primary school. But that's going to happen in the West. And we expect those persons who go to Ivan Dawson, those persons who go to Leonora Delville, and those persons who go to Jos Van Dyke Primary School to make a smooth transition into that junior school. This is also being done under the Recovery and Development Agency. And we have funding for the project. We are about to demolish the existing building, Isabella Morris Primary School, so that it can be reconstructed. And we also have designs which are nearly finished for the junior school in the central part of town and the Elmo Stout High School. It's estimated that this junior school will cost, fully furnished, between $40 and $45 million. So we're going to have to get a loan to be able to construct that building. But as soon as the designs are done, we can enter into that phase of it. And what we're doing is we're doing consultations. We did consultations with the junior school teachers and the senior school teachers, and we're continuing consultations with parent teachers associations and other stakeholder groups before we go ahead to complete those designs. And certainly we want to see if we can have a junior school on the east, and right now I'm seeking to identify a piece of land where we'll be able to do that.
Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, one of the many concerns also expressed by this teacher is the fact that there has been no nurse on campus at the Elmo Stout High School since 2021. What is being done to rectify this?
Yeah, since 2017.
2017, thank you.
Yeah, I actually this was one aspect of the frustrations which I really sought to investigate, and I was not given an answer as it pertains to the nurse that I was satisfied with. I wasn't satisfied with the reasoning that was given to me why we didn't have a nurse at the CTL campus. And as a result of that, I've called together stakeholders to see if that problem can be rectified as soon as possible. I agree with the frustrations there. The students, especially students who have serious medical challenges, should have a nurse. And that's something that I will ensure will be rectified.
Wonderful. As it pertains to salary review and backed up increments, of course, you are not the Minister of Finance, but in having your teachers express their frustration with not feeling as though they're being awarded properly as it pertains to salary, what say you?
I agree. I agree with the teachers. When the Minister of Finance brought forward the idea to have a salary review, I made sure that it was recorded in the cabinet minutes that I want special consideration to be given to teachers. Now I know that we have public servants who work very hard in their respective fields, but we all are impacted heavily by education. Our children go through the education systems, and everyone, all of us had to go through the education system. And we know that teachers and education is really the foundation of any functional society. And I think that we all we should behoove ourselves to ensure that our teachers are taken care of properly. And I'll be the biggest cheerleader for that, because I have taught. I used to teach at the Enos Adams Primary School, so I know what it is to start. And I came right out of high school without any qualifications or experience. So I was at the very bottom of the ladder. So I know what it means to get a meager salary in the teaching profession, and I understand how expensive the BVI is right now. My mother is a teacher. I've taught for many, many years. And, you know, so many persons who graduated in the 70s who my mother taught. You know, so my mother is well respected in the teaching profession. Persons would know about my Uncle Mac, Obed Malone, who's a teacher, Willard Wheatley, Carbet Wheatley, Valeria Wheatley, Justina Horst. All of these persons, formerly Justina Malone, all of these persons in my family who are teachers. You know, I've had siblings who've taught.
All right.
So I have a great deal of empathy for teachers, and I understand what it is they go through. And I'm going to champion them getting any benefits that we can give.
Minister, having come from that strong lineage of educators, I want to talk about school pride.
Yes.
And the appreciation among teachers. What do you intend to be done to not only ignite school pride amongst the students across the territory and teachers, but also to raise awareness and appreciation for the institution of education?
Well, you know what? It's a very good question, Ron. I know there was something that was taking place for years before, which is Teachers Appreciation Dinner, and being able to recognize persons in various ways. Even though we've had limited resources and we've had the challenges of social distancing and the protocols for the pandemic, we reinstated that this year. We had a nice dinner where we'll be able to appreciate our teachers. We gave awards to our retirees. But it's not enough, Ron. That's not enough. I want to see if we can seek better ways. And I want to partner with persons in the community. I've been speaking to the teachers union and saying, well, we should see how we can get some more benefits for being a teacher, because perhaps maybe it might be difficult to raise the salary by the amount that you really deserve, considering there's so many teachers. But perhaps we can provide more benefits for becoming a teacher. You know, and certainly we have to make sure that our teachers are properly esteemed in our community. You know, there was a time when persons could not be using foul language in the presence of teachers. And I've seen somewhat of a degradation run. And it's not just for myself as Minister of Education, and it's not just for the government. The entire society has to give the teachers the respect they deserve. It's something that we should teach our children. You don't go to school and disrespect the teacher. You give the teacher the proper respect, because half the time, most of the teacher's stress is the stress that's coming from the home in some instances. So we can really help the teachers and give them more peace of mind by ensuring that we teach our children to respect teachers. And of course, it's a mutual thing. Teachers have to respect children as well. And the entire society, we have to show an appropriate amount of respect for teachers.
Thank you so much.
I have to say to you, Ron, I'm concerned about it, because right now we're sharing so much. It almost seems like hate. Almost seems like hatred. And I have no problem with criticism. I have no problem with persons expressing their views. But right now, it seems as though we're expressing almost hatred towards each other, which sets a very poor example for the children.
Understood. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your candidness in addressing these issues, and also giving a response to the teachers and students across the territory. Of course, as you would know, the frustrations are raging from parents to students and teachers. We're living in difficult times, but thank you so much for your candidness in raising awareness as to what exactly and how you exactly plan to go about this. I must ask you, before we go, as Minister for culture, of course, festival is approaching, the time for festival is approaching. I need to see your thoughts or understand your thoughts as to a billboard that was shared locally. It's still up and it's going to be shared on our screen, which says, "Our festival depends on it. Don't procrastinate, vaccinate." Now, it proudly wears the BVI Love and the Government of the Virgin Islands logo on it. As a minister responsible for festival, as we know, the vaccine in the territory of the Virgin Islands is not mandatory. It is still a choice. What say you on the billboard that has been deemed by some as going a little bit too far?
Well, let me just say that I don't necessarily have knowledge of the billboard. A picture of the billboard was shown to me, but I did not know that it was going up. But I think I understand where the impetus behind the billboard. I would just make a slight amendment to the billboard and say our safe festivals depend on persons immunizing themselves. And that's the position we've taken as a government, is that we believe that the vaccine will allow you to be able to reopen your society in a safe way. But you're absolutely right, Ron. I am completely against making the vaccine mandatory. And I'm completely against vaccines being a requirement to be able to celebrate emancipation. So I know that's perhaps the suggestion that some persons got from the billboard, but that does not reflect any particular policy that we've taken as it relates to festival. We've had the practice over the past months of having events with protocols, with social distancing, with mask wearing, and with sanitization measures. I expect that an announcement will be made soon as it relates specifically to our festival and the form that it will take. But I have to tell you, Ron, that we're going to make sure that festival happens in a form that is safe.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something that's extremely important to me. And we continue to encourage persons to get vaccinated because we believe that it's in persons' best interest to be vaccinated. But that's a choice people will have to make for themselves.
Understood. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Viewers, that is all the time we have.